Am I the asshole for altering my cousin's wedding dress after she gave it to me, then uninviting her from my wedding after she got upset about the changes? Original post, I, 18F, am getting married in the middle of October to my boyfriend, 19M. We're planning on a smaller scale wedding with mostly just friends and family, and considering that we both have large extended families, it was definitely a challenge planning for that many people. For a general idea of how big my family is, just my mom has 7 siblings who all have children of their own. With our small budget, I was looking at redesigning or upcycling a wedding gown instead of having to devote a huge amount of money towards a brand new dress. I mentioned my plans to a couple people and was in the process of looking at options when my mom's oldest sister's daughter, my cousin, reached out to me. Megan, 40F, got married in 2015. The marriage didn't last very long and they got divorced soon after. I barely remember the husband, as he never came to family gatherings and Megan and my mom aren't particularly close, so I was surprised she was offering something so important after a long time of distance. Regardless, Megan had offered to give me her wedding dress, as it was my size and she knew we were trying to avoid spending a crazy amount on a small budget. I loved the idea and the dress was beautiful. I did make sure she was comfortable giving it to me rather than loaning it, and she assured me that it held no emotional significance and she couldn't care less if she didn't have to hang on to it. I thanked her and took home the dress. One thing about me, however, is that I am a very chaotic seamstress, and I make the majority of my own clothes. And while I did love the original dress, I wanted to make some small changes to the hem and neckline to fit the theme better. The original dress was super full skirted with a long hem, and since my wedding is outside, I wanted to make sure it wouldn't be dragging in the dirt. So I took some layers off the underside, removed the trim and removed the sleeves to tighten the bodice. I was so happy with how it turned out, and my mom and friends agreed that it was perfect. Here's when the trouble started. My mom had taken a picture of me trying on the dress and decided to send Megan a picture alongside another thank you. However, she responded with a cold comment over text and called me later that night. She said that I should have asked her permission before ruining her dress, and that if I had thought it was so ugly before I should have bought my own. I tried to explain that the changes I made were small, and that I did ask before I took it if she wanted it back afterwards. She blew up at me saying that it was too different, and that she could never wear it again, even though she never gave the impression that she wanted to. Megan has already started before that she has no interest in getting remarried ever. I asked what she wanted me to do and she snapped at me that it was too late. She hung up and has apparently been telling people I slutted out her wedding dress and made sure I would embarrass her by outdoing the original dress. I don't know what to do about it. The wedding is way too close to consider making myself a dress, and I have my heart set on having something unique and personal for my wedding. Her mother called both me and my mom saying I should have asked, that I'm a spoiled brat for taking advantage of Megan's kindness and generosity. My parents and a few family members who I've told think I should uninvite Megan and just wear the dress, but my aunt is saying I would break Megan's heart unless I find something else. Should I give up on my dress and see what else there is? To provide some context and answer some questions, Megan and I are not super close, from both the age gap and different lifestyles. Megan is the 3rd cousin out of 21. I am the 9th. Megan, being the first girl child in the family, grew up with a lot of expectations and pressure, and ended up marrying a very religious and controlling husband. After her divorce, Megan went through what can best be described as a breakthrough and re-evaluation of her life and ambitions. Since then, she has completely changed her job, appearance, and opinions. She is no longer an active member in family events and only takes part in important ones like birthdays, funerals, and weddings. Despite this, we have never had any problems between us and our interactions have always been civil and kind. Secondly, the alterations I did were only limited to the skirt and bodice. The slutted out comment apparently stemmed from my removal of the sleeves, turning it to a sleeveless top, and raising the hem to a T-length. My ankles are exposed now. Someone had pointed out to me that Megan's anger was a product of her own self-esteem, as she has naturally grown and gained weight since then, which I could definitely see even though she is still beautiful. And thirdly, I am definitely planning on regular updates if any more incidents happen up to the wedding, and a full breakdown with photos after the ceremony. Thank you to everyone for their kind messages and loving support. You've all made me feel so much better and I appreciate you taking the time to comment. Update. As of yesterday, I found out from my fiancé that Megan had reached out to him with false concern about how my home-styled dress gave the wrong idea about our wedding and had the audacity to ask him, the man I've been in love with for nearly 3 years, if he was sure he wanted to marry a woman who wouldn't put in the effort of getting a proper dress. She says this as if I hadn't spent weeks sewing the dress to make sure it was perfect. Thank goodness my fiancé wasn't upset by her attitude and responded that I had put way more effort into the dress than she put into her marriage, and that shut her up real fast. She turned around and apparently has been crying to my elderly grandparents, her mother, some of the other cousins etc. that I'm a trashy whore with a cheap shotgun wedding. I'm not even pregnant LMAO, with a fiancé who is only interested in our family's money. My fiancé is a mechanic, and regardless of the fact that he is doing really well and makes a pretty good salary, she still seems to think he's beneath her. Some of my older cousins, the ones I don't talk to as much, have actually expressed concern about whether or not they want to go to the ceremony at all. I blame my aunt for spreading misinformation, which I managed to assure them wasn't true. After all of this, I reached out to Megan saying that because of all her comments and insults she is no longer invited to the wedding. I admitted that I was sorry for the situation, but I can't keep pardoning her rude comments on what is supposed to be a happy time in my life. She snapped that she wouldn't show her face at my pathetic excuse for a wedding, and that she can't wait to see how I act when he leaves me. Overall, I am pretty confident that Megan and I's relationship might not recover, but at this point I don't regret anything. Here's hoping everything else cools down in the next couple weeks and I can go into our day with no negativity at all. Am I the asshole for altering my cousin's hand-me-down wedding dress after she told me I could have it? Top comments. Commenter 1, wear the dress, invite the cousin. Use the pieces of the dress to make a decorative pillow for your rings and present it to her at the reception as the best cousin ever for gifting you the dress. It will be a public moment and you will never hear about it again. Commenter 2, totally NTA. Your mom blew it by taking photos and posting. That was unfortunate. Issue 1. Issue 2, do you have that text or email agreement, paper trail, of her IDC about the dress convo that you can refer back to? Sorry that you're going through this. This isn't something any soon-to-be bride needs to deal with. Truly, sounds like she was more emotionally connected to that dress than she thought. There's nothing you can do at this point other than add a note of appreciation of her selfless offering of the dress. Don't uninvite her, just make sure one of your MOH are watching her on your day. Commenter 3, NTA. If your cousin didn't want it changed, she should have said, don't make any alterations. It sounds like you made some sensible changes, don't let her ruin your day. Commenter 4. Your cousin specifically told you that she was giving you the dress and she didn't want it back. So now you are the owner of the dress. You can make any changes you want to it. She can't come back later and attach conditions to the gift. It's your dress OP, you should wear it. Let aunt and cousin know that you will be wearing the dress and they are welcome to attend, but you understand if that's too much for them. Update. Hi everyone. I made a post on this subreddit a few months ago about my 18F wedding dress and all the surrounding drama that came from it. I had been given my 40F cousin's old wedding dress from a failed marriage and altered it to better fit the needs of my ceremony and my style. She did not appreciate the changes and became very rude and hurtful. My wedding was 6 days ago and I was asked to do an update, and I am happy to share how it all went down. I am still so happy how my dress turned out, and was very glad to have shortened the train, as there had been rain the night before and morning dew on the grass. The shorter hemline saved me a lot of mess and damage in the long run. Plus, I felt beautiful and it made such a special day all the more amazing. I had told my cousin, Megan, that her behavior was rude and unnecessary and that I did not want her bringing her unpleasantness to my day. However, her mother, who had been one of her primary supporters, had apologized in order to go to the ceremony. So while Megan herself was not actually at the wedding, I had not completely excluded the issue. Megan's mother, 71F my aunt, is your basic senior white woman, and usually expresses her opinions in a loud and unspoken manner, so I was uneasy in the beginning when she arrived. She didn't make a fuss throughout the ceremony though, and everything went smoothly. I sneezed while walking down the aisle, but that wasn't anyone's fault in particular. The reception was at an outdoor garden where we had set up under a gazebo with a temporary floor for tables and eventually dancing, with a slightly elevated platform for the big table and speeches. This is where my aunt decided to make sure everyone knew about her daughter's dress. After a few speeches, following my friend's champagne rendition of That Time We Went Camping and the tent slid down a hill, she made her way up to the podium. She started her speech in the usual, unassuming way, congratulating us and remarking on how far we've come as people. Unfortunately, she decided to tie this statement into a comment of, "You've even made your own dress." I mean, not really, actually, it was Megan's first. She then went on into how she remembered shopping for the dress with Megan for her own wedding, and going on and on about how it was perfect and made for her. At this point in the speech I was just staring at her in confusion, while my husband and everyone else just sat there awkwardly waiting for her to be done. She finished her speech with a half-assed backtrack to me looking lovely and wishing us good luck on our marriage. She mumbled back to her seat and let the ceremony keep going, looking entirely too proud of herself. Other than that, The only other trouble she caused was her apparently showing everyone she could manage a photo of the original, which is really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. I am so happy that my family and friends were able to be there and celebrate with us, and can't wait to see what comes for us next. Thank you again to everyone who commented and reassured me in the beginning. You've all been so kind. Who knows, I might even dye the dress another color and keep it around just in case an appropriate event comes up. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. When you got the dress, did you get permission to alter it? Perhaps there might have been an expectation for it to go back to her when you were done with it. OOP, I did. I mentioned in my original post that I had asked specifically if it was mine to keep and she agreed. That was a big worry of mine in the first place, but she told me she had no attachments to it. Commenter 2, you should reach out to your aunt and thank her for making a speech showing her support of you and your marriage. You got so many compliments on the work you did to the dress after she pointed out that you did all that yourself. Everyone was super impressed by the before and after pictures, so you wanted to give her a personal thank you. I think that they would have made comments about it being cousin's dress, and shown pictures, if you didn't make adjustments. So I think you picked the better path. Commenter 3, once someone gives you something, it is yours to do with as you wish. If she didn't want you to alter it in any way, she should have put that condition on the give. Then that way you could have refused it since it wasn't as you imagined your dress to be. You weren't wrong, and your aunt and cousin need to suck it up and never mention it again. Now to the next story, story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my trans friend she needs to disclose that she's trans to the man she's seeing? Using a throwaway account for this. I have a friend, known her for years, since we were young and she was pre-transition. We're older now. She's had work done, and been on hormones since she was a teen. If you met her, I can honestly tell you, you'd never guess she was trans. However, she does still currently have a penis. She tends to go with men who are fully aware she is trans. She had said that she was trans on her dating profile. She's moved away now, we still talk. She eventually told me she met a guy around 2 months ago, they're dating. She then went on to tell me that she met him on a new dating site she was trying out. I thought nothing more of it. The next day she messaged me, and we were talking more about him, and then she told me some things, including that he has no idea that she's trans. She didn't disclose it on this new dating profile, and she just hasn't told him. I asked her why and also said, surely you've slept together. No. She's often slept with men she's dated by now, so I just assumed. She said no, and that he's being patient on the sex, she's making him wait, but to keep him sweet she's sucked his cock and given him handjobs a few times. I then just outright said, you need to tell him, and she said I will, but I want him to fall for me a little more first. This isn't like her, and I was dumbfounded to be honest. I told her you can't wait for that. You need to tell him, sooner rather than later. 2 months is already a while, and he may be disappointed or even get mad if he finds out. And she said, why would he be mad if he really likes me? And I just said, respectfully, and I'm sorry, but you still currently have a penis. He's a totally straight man, who thinks he's dating a biological woman. She didn't like me saying that. I get it, but I think it's important that she tell him. I tried to explain to her that this could also be dangerous for her in not telling him sooner. You never know how this guy might react. Not every man is so open to trying that out. Some men like strictly pussy, and it would appear that this guy thinks their pussy is waiting for him in her pants. She sent him underwear pics where she's tucked tightly. Honestly, you would never know. I think it's a dangerous game, and I told her that 2 months is too long, and I think she was silly to wait this long. But now she's freaked out and worried. AITA? I'm basically here seeking whether I was right or wrong in my brutal honesty.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.